Forge FC is ready for their upcoming match.
Simply stunning stuff! And finally, their goal! My word, what a rocket!
Now, let's get you up to date with Anthony Urciuoli and Match Day Preview on the Forge Audio Network.
Hello, Forge fans. Welcome. It is the Match Day Preview. I'm Anthony Urciuoli, and this is it. These next two games in a span of, within the same week. Forge FC on the road for both, playing against the same club, Valour, on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock in Winnipeg, and then the two will meet again on Sunday. This could ultimately be the season for Valour, especially, because here's how the standings are looking heading into this match. Forge FC right now in third place. They have 36 points. At the top of the table, Atletico Ottawa with 39 points. Cavalry with 37 in second. Forge, though, with two matches in hand on both Cavalry and Ottawa. Pacific, a point back of Forge. They've played one extra match. Valour, though, in fifth place, 30 points with 8 matches remaining, so they're 5 points out of a playoff spot, and they're 6 back of Forge. Valour's telling themselves, if we win our next 2 matches, we are guaranteed a playoff spot. So it's a good feeling if you're Valour, because you feel like you have a little bit of control when you didn't really have much, because it looked like Valour was kind of down and out. I mean, I counted Valour out completely, but listen, they're within striking distance now, and it's up to Forge FC to ensure that Valour stay outside of the playoff picture. Now, we're going to hear from head coach, technical director for Forge FC, Bobby Smyrniotis. We're going to hear from Triston Henry, Forge FC goalkeeper, the league leader in clean sheets, also playing in his 100th match coming up here. We're going to assume Henry plays, but this is wood. We have to knock, because just you never know. But he's in a position to play his 100th match. He'll be the third Forge player to do so this season to this point, and we will probably have more by the time the year is up. So big game for Triston, big game for Forge. Before we get to that, though, I want to thank you, the fans, for submitting your questions for our sit-down interview. Myself, Jessica Lisi, in conversation with Mark Noonan, the new Canadian Premier League commissioner. Very in-depth interview. He was great. He answered all of our questions very thoroughly, and he answered a lot of fan questions as well. We encourage you still, maybe not for the commissioner, maybe eventually, but submit your questions, comments around Forge FC, around the CPL. Have your say. Email matchday@forgefc.ca. We will relay those questions. You can hear them answered right here on the Forge channels here, whether it's through podcast, through YouTube, or through social media and at forgefc.ca. So submit all the questions you want. Matchday@forgefc.ca. The most common question that was submitted was revolving around officiating and replay technology, VAR. And the commissioner answered those questions. And I'm going to play those for you. Now, for the full interview, you can, again, it's up there. It's been released. It's available. You can check out the full interview. But I'm just going to play the questions and responses as it pertains to the officiating and VAR. So here is Mark Noonan, the new commissioner of the CPL, and his thoughts.
What I can say is officiating is by far the hardest job in the game. It really is such a challenging job. And I know the fans are probably speaking to Becker's shot that may or may not have gone in, and if we had video review, perhaps might have been ruled a goal. Interesting thing about that is that he hit that ball with such venom. It was so fast. I don't even think any of the players on the field knew whether it was in or out. And obviously, the officials didn't. What the real issue is that the board of directors, including the clubs, decided at the beginning of this year not to have VAR. And so we're gonna play a season without VAR. And I believe both coaches took the high road in that game, saying, "Hey, the soccer gods give and the soccer gods take away, and over the course of the season, it all kind of measures out." That being said, we're going to take a hard look in the off season and understand all the technologies available and decide whether we're going to implement any for the following season. But going back to the officials, hardest job in the game. And the beauty of the CPL is it gives them reps that they've never had before. And we're able to, just like we're developing players, we're developing great referees throughout the CPL, and they're developing too. So you can't expect to have a World Cup final FIFA referee every week, but we're giving these opportunities to players and officials, and they're all going to grow up together. And we'll be spending a lot of time on that in the off season.
I mean, the guy's good. Those are great answers, and they make a lot of sense. As much as you want to get angry at the officiating or the lack of available video replay, it's kind of put in perspective there for Mark, and it's something that could be instituted as early as next season. Who knows what this offseason will bring for the CPL, but it's a growth. It's a growing experience for everybody. And listen, it's exciting. You as a fan, you're part of this. The league will evolve with you as a fan, with me, with the club, with all the teams. It is continuing to evolve, and I would say the future is extremely bright for this league. And I think it's in good hands with Mark Noonan. All right, let's get back to Forge and Valour. The topic at hand here. I asked Bobby about the importance, when you have two matches against one club, it's almost like you hear teams talk about this in other sports where you have, 5 or 7 game series. It's about winning the next game. You can't try, in baseball, right? You're down 4 runs. You're not going to tie the game with one hit. You need base runners to do that. So it has to be one at bat at all the time. If you are in a best of 7 playoff series in hockey, or in baseball, and you're down 3-1, 3-0 in the series, well, you're not going to win the series in the next game. You just have to worry about the next one.
Yeah, I think it's you just take the normal approach you take every week. It's a little bit different here where you're playing the same opponent 2 games in a row due to that game being canceled earlier in the year. But yeah, you have to look at each game individually, and the one in front of you is always the most important one. And that's what we have tomorrow night. Playing against Valour. They've been playing some good football lately with some mixed results as well. And we need to get ourselves back in the win column. So I think that makes it an interesting match all around.
Forge FC, a win against Valour in this first one will have a big impact on the second one. Because right now Valour is in must-win mode. They cannot afford to drop 3 points, especially at home. Doesn't matter who they're playing. For Forge to take 3 points from Valour, what a crushing blow that would be. In fact, a draw could it wouldn't be as crushing, but it'll definitely just deflate Valour as their hopes are high right now. I mentioned for the first time in a while, they have some control over their destiny. They can win the next 2 matches and be guaranteed a playoff position. Now, Forge will have a match in hand, but still, that's 6 points there. This is the best spot Valour has been in all season. They are going to be hungry. These are must-win games for them. These are playoff games. And Ottawa played the same way against Forge in the last match that Forge was unable to win. And in that match, we know that Forge did score a goal. Kyle Becker did. That's what prompted. I can tell you something. When Becker scored against Ottawa and the officials missed it, it went bar down, dropped behind the line. Everyone kind of missed it. Live, I didn't know it went in either. It wasn't until the replay that it looked obvious. It was more than a foot behind the line. But after that goal that wasn't, the emails flooded with questions for the commissioner. VAR and officiating was the most requested response from the commissioner. So it's not surprising. But okay, Forge didn't get the victory. The club is moving on. Here's more from coach Bobby Smyrniotis and what Forge has to do this next match against Valour to secure 3 points, which is certainly the goal.
In one way, the players are looking forward to this. It's a little bit of a time period. We'll be staying out in Winnipeg between games, so it's a time period where the guys can spend together. And in one way, it's a little bit of an experience for the whole group to be together for a few days. So I think everyone is looking forward to that. There's a good hop in everyone's step in training. Coming out of the last game, and I think they're ready to go. They're ready to compete and just take these days and use that experience and build on it for the games to come.
After the Ottawa game, you said that you guys were I think you said you guys were operating at about 50% of the level you can play at. Just I know you haven't had much time on the training pitch, but what do you talk about with the guys to get back to the level that you guys expect to be at?
Just intensity. I think you look at statistically throughout the season. We're the top defensive team for a reason, and that gives us energy in the attack. Our pressing has been fantastic this year. Hasn't quite been there in the last couple of games. Our recoveries in the opponent's area, our counter pressing has been phenomenal, and I think that's something that we've gone away from a little bit in the last couple of games, and that needs to be good because that's the start of our attack and the start of everything we want to do defensively. So I think once we have that energy in us, then we're a very difficult team, and we're able to turn that into more opportunities on the goal, which usually turns into multiple goals. So I think that's one of the things we've identified in these last couple of games that we need to get back to doing very well, and the guys understand that.
Now, I also asked Bobby about Woobens Pacius. When a player looks like, Pacius was on an absolute tear, and he was the focal point of every conversation, and he's cooled down over the last few games without a goal. I wondered, what is, there are a lot of people who know a lot more than me about this sport. What does Bobby see? How is Pacius being defended differently? Is he getting extra attention? Have they spotted a chink in the armor? What is it that defenders are doing with Pacius? Is it just a slump that players go through? Is he slump? The other team the rest of the team hasn't been producing offensively like they could before. There was a point during that winning streak, during a 6-game winning streak for Forge, where, they were averaging almost 3 goals a match. That wasn't something that was sustainable, especially in a league like this with the amount of parity that you have and seeing the same clubs over and over again. Is something being done differently? Are teams seeing something and defending Pacius differently? Here is what Bobby had to say.
I think it's only a normal thing, but I don't think that they've started paying attention to him this year. He's a guy who's scored 7 or 8 goals last year as well. So they're well aware of him and what he does in and around the box. So that's a credit to him too for being where he is this year, because he's not an unknown player when it comes to this year, and he's scoring at a very good rate. So I think that's credit to him and his quality as a player. We need him to keep on moving along. It's always great if a player can score every game, but we know that's not realistic at a lot of levels of the game. He's been on a good run, good form, playing a lot of minutes, and we keep on looking to get the best out of him and the other guys up front.
Triston Henry, been so important for this Forge FC club. I mentioned he leads the league in clean sheets right now. He's at 8, one more than Angam and Carducci with Atletico and Calvary respectively. So Henry now, you wonder, because Henry's he doesn't see a ton of action. His team, when you are a goalkeeper, and this could go for any sport where there's a goalkeeper, when your club, when your team has the ball as much as Forge does for 55 to 65% of the match, and when the other club are really only getting opportunities on these counters and, essentially mistakes that Forge are making that are turning into chances for other clubs, as a keeper, you have to be on your toes. You could go 87, if you're Henry and it's happened, going, 87, 88 minutes without a shot on target, and all of a sudden you get 2 or 3 just back to back to back, and you have to stay sharp. Henry is as good as we have ever seen in this league. I know the league hasn't been around that long, but Henry at this point has to be the benchmark for goalkeeping in this league. The wins are there, the championships, the clean sheets. He's 1 clean sheet away from having 30 for his career in only 3.5 seasons. So we know Henry's going to bring it, and you love Henry for a lot of reasons. Not just because he's a quality keeper, but he's a big personality, a lot of enthusiasm. He's aggressive. He's as good at trash talking as as there is in the sport. He's a fun player to have on your club, and he's a leader. And he's vocal, and he's helpful because you have a lot of young players on this club, especially some young defenders who at times are learning on the job. And it's nice to have a vocal veteran keeper behind you, having that extra voice. It's like having a coach behind you at all times. I mean, Henry's been around long enough. He's seen everything. So he knows how to help. Triston Henry participated in the pre-match media conference, and he touched on multiple things. And here is G talking about going into his 100th career match.
Yeah, it's really important, and I'm thankful to be in that position to play my 100th game for Forge. And like I said before in the interview, I'm just thankful for the club and the coaches for giving me the opportunity to play here and showcase my abilities. And I guess me playing 100 games is just another way of thanking them, and hopefully play a couple more here.
You know, I mentioned Triston Henry and his ability to talk with the best of them. He's in hostile territory for back-to-back matches now. You know, the beauty of this league, there are so many stadiums out there. Even York, Halifax, in Winnipeg, where you have these intimate settings with the fans just right over top of you. And you can hear everything. I mean, you can hear it on the broadcast a lot of the times. But in this case, if you're Henry, you're gonna right? You're gonna hear it. You're standing there, you're a sitting duck, just open to all of the noise and the trash talk and whatever fans are gonna send your way. But if anyone thrives in these environments, it's Triston Henry.
Yeah, I enjoy it. I think it brings out the best in your game, keeps you locked in. Brings out a lot of emotion. So yeah, I enjoy it.
And the playoff type atmosphere that you're expecting, and I mean, you experienced that in Ottawa as well. I guess it's along the same lines, but is this kind of what you play for this kind of pressure and emotion?
Yeah, I think we like playing the big games and the big pressure games. And I think we've done well with those over the years. So I think we look forward to these types of games.
All right, so we know what's at stake. Forge FC trying to climb the standings, Valour trying to get into a playoff spot, and the two teams will meet twice in Winnipeg this week. The first of those matches is the one we're focused on. It goes Wednesday, kickoff time just after 8 p.m. Eastern time. You know it's going to be a good one. Now, before I leave you, you must know about the September special for the Forge FC Cavalry FC match. It's the next home game for Forge. It's Saturday, September 10th at 5 o'clock. Forge and Bench Beer are teaming up. $29.99 will get you a ticket to the match. That's a gold level ticket. Plus, you'll get a Bench Beer sampling. Head on over to forgefc.ca to take advantage of the special for September. Forge FC and Bench Beer sampling. Remember, whenever you get your Forge content, whether it's via podcast, whether it's on YouTube, you can subscribe to both. You can also, if you haven't already, follow Forge FC on social media. A lot of Forge content there as well, including, as I mentioned, our interview with the new CPL commissioner, Mark Noonan. You will have 3 keys to the match coming up to really delve into the tactical side of things as Valour and Forge FC go head-to-head on Wednesday night. And then we will have a recap, match in review, following the match. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. I hope you enjoy. I know I will. And we'll talk to you soon.
Forge FC is prepared, and now you are informed. This has been Match Day Preview with Anthony Urciuoli on the Forge Audio Network. Subscribe on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.